Welcome to On the Moneyline, an MMA Play 365 podcast as we break down UFC Las Vegas main event, Peter Yan versus Merab Dvalishvili. I am your fill-in host for the second straight week. I go by Sniper MMA. You can follow me on Twitter at Sniper_MMA. Second card I'm breaking down for Newsome as he is on his honeymoon. He will be back next week. Never fear those of you who miss him. Either way, take a moment, support Newsome, support myself, but more so Newsome. It's his channel. Like this video, subscribe to the channel so you get his breakdowns every week and he gets his 1,000 subscribers. That would help him a ton and I would appreciate it as well. Drop a comment, tell Newsome, hey, that guy sucked, don't ever leave again. I have thick skin, those of you who say that, I can take it. Or I did a great job. Let me know some picture thinking, things I missed, things you think agree with, disagree. All good. Let's talk fights. It's all I really care about. So anybody who likes the content, hates it, I appreciate all you guys. That being said, the one other thing you should do is go to MMAplay365.com. Check out the betting service that Newsome always has going. Even though he's on honeymoon, still has picks and plays bets for the week. Check it out over there. The Bayes AI model that Newsome talks about every week, also up and going strong. I handle the daily fantasy hub for MMA Play 365. What that is, if you are unfamiliar with it, it's for DraftKings. You get my picks every week. We give strategies, rankings for fighters, my tournament exposures. If you're playing, mass entering 150 lineups, strategies for or picks for Prize Picks as well, which is a very popular prop betting service right now. All that stuff over there. Check it out. It's just $10 a month. You should really check it out. Having a lot of fun making some cash in there. I think that's enough for the intro for this episode. I will say, in general, I like to just warn people, my style is different than Newsome's. I'm just going to kind of roll with the way I break down fights. It's a little more succinct than I think most other cappers out there. I don't like the hour shows personally. Just my style is in, out. This is what each guy is. This is what I think they're good at. This is how I think they're gonna win. I don't want to pontificate back and forth. I know this intro is wordy and you probably don't believe me, but I tend to get to picks, and I bet you will probably be out of here in about 30 minutes or less, kind of like old school Domino's pizza commercials. That being said, let's now dive into the fights. We'll start with the main event: Peter Yan versus Merab Dvalishvili. We'll start with Peter Yan, who's lost 3 of his last 4 fights. Still is the favorite here. We know about his striking is really good. He did have a little bit of success against O'Malley wrestling. That's because O'Malley was cracking him on the feet. But he can mix it. He can mix it in. He's a good all-around fighter. Whereas Merab Dvalishvili, he's on an 8-fight win streak. He's that relentless pressure, move forward, wrestling, takedown type of style. As he's climbed the ranks, though, and fought the higher quality opposition, he's not having as much success in the wrestling as he has in the past. Against Jose Aldo, the John Dodson fight, he's not as dominant as it was when he was first coming up. And that's going to be the issue in this fight. Even though Merab is an absolute machine coming forward, Merab blitzes forward to get into those positions. And I don't think he's going to be able to secure enough takedowns or hold Yan down long enough to where he's going to have to close the distance repeatedly. And eventually, he's going to eat a lot of shots from Peter Yan. I think that as Merab is pressuring, that actually allows Yan to counter or catch him coming in, circle off, and land enough volume. Peter Yan doesn't really land big strikes to put you away. The knockouts he gets, he volumes you to death. And he hits hard enough. Not knockout power, but he does damage. They're not little pity-pat shots. I'm not sure about a finish in this fight because I do think Merab is tough. He's got, we have 5 rounds of cardio. I will say an extra path to victory for Merab is that if that constant pressure, even if he's eating shots, if he can just wear on Yan and take over late, that is possible here. I don't think that happens enough times out of 10. Sometimes when I break down fights, if these guys fight 10 times, who's going to win, 7 or 8 of them? I think more often than not, Peter Yan is going to be able to, his cardio will hold up. He'll land enough shots with Merab coming in. Merab won't have enough success with the grappling. Therefore, my official pick for this fight will be Petr Yan via decision. And our next fight, let's talk about Alexander Volkov versus Alexander Romanov. I'm going to start with Romanov for this one. Romanov got the vet lesson last time out against Marcin Tybura. He had a 10-8 round to start, and then he faded. He couldn't get a takedown the rest of the way. Tybura pieced him up on the feet as a better technical striker, and Romanov had no gas. And Romanov was handed his first career pro loss. Romanov's got really good grappling, really good top pressure. It's that striking and cardio that I'm really worried about. He does have power, as pretty much all heavyweights do. If a heavyweight doesn't have power, it's a real issue. He does have that. Just the striking wasn't good as Marcin Tybura's. And it's not as good as Alexander Volkov's. Volkov's a very technical striker. He's another vet. He's 9-4 in the UFC, and he really only loses to high-quality competition. He lost to Tom Aspinall, Curtis Blades, and Cyril Gane, and Derek Lewis via that last-second Hail Mary KO. To me, he's the definition of a gatekeeper. As long as Volkov can keep this fight standing, he'll have the advantage. The issue, I don't think he can keep it standing. I think Romanov has learned his lesson. I think he will pace himself better in this one. Romanov should be able to get top position, and once he has it secured, he may not blitz for a finish. He may, or he should, and I think he will, conserve himself a little more. He won't pour it on and gas out. And I think he'll supply enough pressure on top of Volkov that he'll force Volkov into a mistake. Even if it stays on the feet, while I do favor Volkov, Romanov can land something plenty big, and Romanov should land something plenty big, and Volkov is going to have to worry about the grappling. I think he'll leave some openings there. The biggest concern for Romanov, who I'm about to pick, is the cardio. If he didn't learn his lesson, he makes the same mistake again. I just think the grappling is a big enough advantage in this fight that my official pick is Alexander Romanov via submission. Next fight up, here we go again. Nikita Krylov taking on Ryan Superman Spann. I'm not going to go super crazy in this fight. You can go back a few weeks to when this fight was canceled and listen to Newsome's breakdown, especially if you really can't stand me for whatever reason. I still love you. But you can go check out his breakdown. I don't really remember it. I think we were pretty in sync on this fight. I've never been a big believer in Nikita Krylov. He's got chin issues. I think he shoots some sloppy takedowns. I don't think his stand-up is really good. I think he gets away with it at 205. I'm never have been a big believer in Nikita Krylov. Spann has big power. He's got good front chokes. We've seen him land chokes plenty of times. And just the way I see the fight playing out is that if on the feet, Spann is going to catch Krylov with something big. I don't think Krylov is going to have the advantage on the feet, especially with Spann's power. He's either going to get hurt and shoot something sloppy, or just in general, Nikita Krylov is going to take a shot from too far out because he doesn't want to engage in the grappling. He's got to find good timing on his takedown. I don't think he does it enough over these 3 rounds to put away Spann or really dominate him. He's live, that is his path here, but more often than not, I think Ryan Spann actually is going to find a finish. My official pick for this will be Ryan Superman Spann via submission. On to our next fight. Let's talk about Ricardo Ramos versus Austin Lingo. Ramos is 7-3 in the UFC. He has really good striking. He can mix in takedowns. When he has the advantage on the mat, he's not afraid to use it, which is something more people need to do. Because some people will have a wrestling advantage. They fall in love with their hands. Ramos is a better striker, but when he has the wrestling advantage, he uses it. My concern about Ricardo Ramos, has to be mentioned, is that he's been KO'd early twice. Lingo has won his last 2 fights. He's got knockdowns in both of those fights. The competition, though, was Luis Saldana and Jacob Kilburn. I'm not overly impressed with that caliber competition, but he's beaten who's in front of him. I think he needs a finish here or he's going to be in trouble. I expect Ramos to be a way more technical striker and get the better of the grappling exchanges. Ramos should be able to use good distance management and just really avoid anything big that is coming his way. I don't think Glingo will be able to use the clinch or any type of wrestling. I think Ramos, just especially with his movement, should be able to get to have this fight dictate where this fight takes place. I'm going to say it's probably a stand-up affair, and Ramos works him over for 15 minutes. My official pick here will be Ricardo Ramos via decision. And our next fight, let's talk about Said Nurmagomedov taking on Jonathan Martinez. I would assume most people listening to this are relatively hardcore MMA fans, probably more than a casual. And if you are a casual, welcome. And let's always happy to talk more fights. Talking fights is fun. And you should know, and if you don't, Said Nurmagomedov is not your typical Nurmagomedov. He's not a Khabib. He is a better striker. In fact, he's even shown holes in his grappling. Raoni Barcelos got him through grappling. Before Said caught a guillotine, Kakramanov in their last fight was having success with the grappling. It's actually, he's a better striker. He wants his fight on the feet. On the other side, you have Jonathan Martinez, who's on a 4-fight win streak and has absolutely devastating leg kicks. However, he's been outstruck in the past. I think this fight will play out on the feet, and I think that Said's movement, and he's got enough skill that the big leg kicks aren't going to be a factor from Jonathan Martinez. I think he's going to stay relatively safe. I don't think he's going to take a lot of damage. I favored the striking of Said and don't think Martinez will be able to get this fight to the ground. That being said, mostly because Martinez is not the caliber of grappler that Barcelos and Kakramanov are. It'd be interesting to see if he shoots it. I don't think he does. I will say, I think this fight is closer than the line indicates. The last time I looked, I think Said was minus 250, minus 300. You know, guys can't see me, and I don't have the odds up in front of me, so it was something in that ballpark. It's closer than that because Martinez is a good striker. We've seen Said make mistakes before, especially if this is on the feet and any kind of close. You got the judges involved. The line feels a little wide, but the official pick here for me is still Said Nurmagomedov via decision. Next fight, let's talk Vitor Petrino taking on Anton Turkalj. Vitor Petrino is 7-0, 6 wins by finish, including a win over former UFC competitor Gadzi Antigalov. He has decent footwork. He lands big shots in the feet. He's a muscular guy. I am a little concerned that Petrino will tire out. We have not seen him really go late. He's demolishing people. He can grapple, but I think he does more damage on the feet with these big shots. Turkalj, on the other hand, to me, this is his real UFC debut. Technically, he had his debut where he was fed to Jailton Almeida. That was just not fair. Before that, though, he had an identical record to Petrino, 7-0, all finishes. He tends to blitz forward. He looks to grapple mostly through the body lock and the clinch. Ultimately, I think that Petrino is more dangerous on the feet, and as Turkalj, the way he closes distance, he leaves himself open to be hit. I think that as he closes it, Petrino can land something big and put him away. In the clinch, I think Petrino will be stronger. I think he can get a takedown and end up on top and do plenty of damage that way. The biggest concern for both guys, for me, is how they're going to hold up over the distance. And even though, as I'm about to pick Petrino, I think Turkalj is more likely to stay strong for 3 rounds. That is my concern. Some of the cardio, which is that build that Petrino has. It's the type of guy that seems like he could fade down the stretch. Not enough to sway me on the pick. Official pick, Vitor Petrino via knockout. On to the next fight. Let's talk Lukasz Brzezinski versus Carl Williams. Brzezinski lost, whose name I just can't be, the EZES, the Polish name. I'm sorry, man. Lost by split decision in his UFC debut. I don't know how he lost that fight. He outstruck Martin Buday nearly 2-1. He's got good volume. He is hittable, and he can be backed up when he's striking. He's decent everywhere, but when I watch his past fights, it doesn't really impress me anywhere. He's just an okay overall fighter. On the other side of the fight, we have Carl Williams. He's a Dana White Contender Series debutant, so if you're into the Contender Series fade, I guess here is your guy. He has really good entries and timing on his wrestling. He moves forward. He's got good setup with the hands to set up his wrestling. He's not super one-dimensional. I really like what I see, how he kind of mixes everything together. I don't think Brzezinski will have an answer for the wrestling in this matchup. On the feet, he can be backed up. I think Williams could have success pressing him up against the cage, getting takedowns. In the clinch, I think he'll be stronger. Just how much I saw Brzezinski back up and Williams' ability to move forward and set things up, I just think the distance will be closed and Williams will be able to land takedowns. It's unfortunate that Brzezinski's 0-1 in the UFC because he's okay everywhere. I'm not sure he'll win a fight in the UFC. This one, though, isn't quite it. He's going to be staring at 0-2, and he could get a pink slip here, and that's sad because he should have won his debut. I'm not sure if Williams will press for the finish. He's the kind of guy who will take what's given to him on the ground. Really good, solid, strong top pressure. That's how I see this one playing out. Official pick, Carl Williams via decision. On to our next fight. Let's talk Rafael Assunção versus Davy Grant. This fight should be further up the card, by the way. Assunção is a low-volume striker who had lost 4 straight fights before, including being finished 3 times before last time out he defeated Victor Henry. Henry trying to get, UFC was trying to get Henry a win, and he underperformed. I don't think he's as good as we thought. We're going to talk about Victor Henry. It's weird to say about a guy who's got 28 pro fights, as he did. They were trying to get him a win, I believe. Did not work out. If you look at Assunção's record, though, he really only loses to tough competition. He is just a good overall striker. It's just usually his fights can be low volume, and they can turn into some snooze fest. David Grant has not had snooze fest fights. He was in 2 wars in 2021. He took 2022 off. Probably a smart move. He was in some wild fights. Impressive win last time out against Luis Smolka. He's got a previous win over Marlon Vera. They had their rematch in 2021. Still a really great fight of the night. A fun one to go back and watch. On his night, he can look really good. He's got really clean, crisp striking. He's improved the grappling, which really plagued him early in his career. He was getting submitted. He's come a long way, and I like what I've seen from Davy Grant. And when he's hitting guys, they are reacting. Like, he hits pretty hard for a 135. That's a concern because of chin issues we've seen from Assunção later in his career. He can be got. You can land the big shot on him. I don't think Assunção will grapple here. I think the fight is going to play out on the feet. And what I think the ultimate difference in this fight is going to be the volume. Davy Grant has more volume. I think he'll have more impactful moments moving forward. I don't think Assunção's style is going to benefit him in this fight. There's finish potential because of the Assunção chin I mentioned earlier, but what I think happens more often than not is Davy Grant picks him apart, just has a little more volume, more of those moments the judges look for. Official pick is Davy Grant via decision. On to our next fight. Let's talk about Cedricus Dumas versus Josh Fremd. Dumas is 6-0. All of those by finishes, 3 straight first-round finishes. Got his contract last time out on the Dana White Contender Series. Before that Contender Series fight, though, all pretty questionable competition. He is the hype train of this card, in my opinion. I've seen a lot of people pick him. I teased it on Twitter. I'm not going there, guys. What I will say about Dumas, he's got really strong kicks, decent kickboxing. He can get submissions. He looks for these body lock takedowns, and he's strong. Fremd, on the other hand, is 0-2 in the UFC. He did not look right last time out against Tresean Gore. Lost via guillotine. He was hit up on the feet too. Every time he got taken down, he'd give his neck up, and I'm worried he will get caught in a guillotine here. That is a definite path to victory for Dumas. Just even before Fremd got caught in the second round, he gave his neck up a couple times in the first. Fremd is plenty of experience, by the way. He was headlining LFA events. He's all around solid, decent striking. I've seen decent defensive wrestling in the past before. Last time out did not look good. Just kind of that all-around mixed martial artist. He's just good everywhere. I'm not going to say he's great, but he's good. Cedricus is getting hype and is really green. I think the Fremd, if you can just extend him, not get blitzed over by Dumas. I have real questions about how Dumas is going to do in terms of experience in the cage as the fight gets longer, reads are made, and just the quality of competition. Fremd will be the best fighter he's ever fought by a lot, and I think people are missing that part of it. Fremd, in my mind, he needs to keep this in boxing range instead of kickboxing range, and I think he could be able to land on Dumas in terms of what I've seen in the striking. He's got to, if he stays at kickboxing range, my pick here is going to look real stupid because Dumas will be able to hurt him. Fremd needs to manage distance and just make this a full-on 15-minute fight or less. I think once he settles in and starts landing on Dumas, I think Dumas is going to get desperate, and I think the step up here is a bit much. And Cedricus Dumas is the favorite in this fight, around minus 190 last time I looked. I'm not quite understanding the line all the way. My biggest concern before I make the Fremd pick official is that Dumas, just how old he is, the improvements these guys can make between fights is rough and is hard to project. I'm going to take the more known quantity at the moment and just maybe that he needs the vet lesson as Romanov got last time out. Not that Dumas is anywhere near where Romanov is yet. He's obviously just making his UFC debut, but you get the idea. Is that he's about to be tested. I'm gonna pick the guy who's got more MMA experience, more high-level MMA experience to get it done. Who's also back against the wall here. Fremd loses to this, he's getting cut. So Josh Fremd, save your job. Official pick is Josh Fremd via knockout. I think he's going to land something in the later rounds. Next fight up, I'm going to cover it, but I'm going to cover it relatively quick because it's Mario Batista versus Guido Canetti. Batista is a huge, huge favorite here. He's 5-2 in the UFC. He's on a 3-fight win streak, 2 finishes in his last 2 fights with submissions over Benito Lopez and Brian Kelleher. In those fights, he got 7 takedowns. He was KO'd by Trevin Jones, which is a little bit concerning. He really uses his leg kicks well, and he uses them to close the distance. He's just all around. He's a smooth striker. He has power. He can grapple. It's a really legitimate prospect. Guido Canetti, on the other hand, is 43 years old. I am amazed he's still winning fights. Props to him. But he's 43 years old. He walks forward. He throws big punches. He's there to be taken down. He gets taken down by good grapplers. I'm not impressed by his 2 wins. Quite honestly, the quality competition good. I'm not going to keep on trashing those. He got him. Batista is a different animal here. Batista's grappling should pay off. He should be able to get the takedowns and just work his way through Canetti and find a submission. He's a big favorite for a reason. Even if he doesn't want to get the takedowns, he's much faster on the feet. I don't think Canetti's going to be able to land one of these big bombs. Batista should be able to slip, use movement, use his hand speed, and really do what he wants to Canetti. I agree with the massive line here. The official pick will be Mario Batista via submission. All right, next fight up. Let's talk J.J. Aldrich versus Ariane Lipski. Aldrich, surprisingly, has been around forever. She is good on the feet, but she's pretty low volume. She can mix things in the takedowns a little bit. Who did I mention earlier? Like Ricardo Hamas. She has the grappling advantage. She's willing to go there. But primarily, she uses her boxing. She was on a 3-fight win streak before she lost to Erin Blanchfield last time out. I feel like she's a pretty middle-of-the-road UFC fighter, but solid. She belongs on the roster clearly. Ariane Lipski, on the other hand, I had really high hopes from her coming in from KSW, and she's totally let me down. She has been getting finished. 3 of the last 4 fights she's been finished. She's getting exposed on the ground. getting submitted by Antonina Shevchenko. It's really concerning. It is a little bit of boxer versus kickboxer, though, because on the feet, Lipski has got a decent kicking game, and I actually kind of lean that way, boxer versus kickboxer. Nobody's got crazy volume. I actually would give the volume advantage to Lipski. It's more if Aldrich can use the space, I see her winning the exchanges with her hands. I do think she has quicker hands and will be able to land. JJ also has the grappling advantage should she choose to use it. I'm not 100% convinced she will. If I was, I would slam JJ Aldrich. But I think it's going to be close enough on the feet. I don't think she's going to feel like she has to get the takedowns. I do think the grappling would be the path of least resistance here. Just, it's hard to, you never know what a fighter's going to game plan or what they're going to do once they get in there. This is another case. The line on Aldrich is big, and I think it's closer than that. I can't pull the trigger on the Lipski pick, but again, the line is too wide here, especially if they stay on the feet. Lipski's live with his kicking game. Aldrich doesn't have a ton of volume. He'll leave it in the hands of the judges. I'm not super confident in the pick, especially compared to the line, but the official pick here is going to be JJ Aldrich via decision. All right, let's talk Tony Gravely versus Victor Henry. We kind of teased Victor Henry early. I'm going to make you wait a second longer. Tony Gravely is a wrestling machine. I know he lost time out. He lost to, I think it was Javid Basharat. The Basharats are legit. Just go back to the one who just, to Farid who just fought. Like, legit. He is a great wrestler, but he got a KO against Johnny Munoz Jr., who was a BJJ guy. That was wild. We didn't know how that fight was going to play out. Wrestler versus BJJ is Gravely going to want to play in the guard down there, and he gets him up against the cage, lands a big right hand, and knocks him out. In his other wins, he's gotten 11 takedowns. 4 takedowns in one fight, 7 in another. If you can't defend takedowns against Tony Gravely, you're screwed. Hey, Victor Henry, how'd you lose your last fight? Oh, Rafael Assunção took you down twice? That's concerning. Very, very concerning. Look, Victor Henry's coming to the UFC, ton of experience, came out of Risen. He's been all around. Not just Risen, but he's been all around. Good striker. And clearly on the feet, he will have an advantage on the feet. If he can stop takedowns, he's going to pick apart Tony Gravely. I think that's pretty clear. My issue is that if Assunção's taking you down, even if Henry has leveled up his wrestling and his takedown defense, I don't think it'll be enough to keep Tony Gravely off him for 15 minutes. So for those reasons and just the overall grappling advantage, I have to lean towards. Until I see Henry stop them, I can't believe he's going to. So for that reason, my official pick here is Tony Gravely via decision. And now for our final fight of the night, Tyson Nam taking on Bruno Silva. Tyson Nam, good striker, 3-3 in the UFC. He's got a couple of first-round KOs. We actually have 2 flyweights here who can crack, which can be rare at flyweight. These guys are putting people away. When he hits, he lands with power. When he loses, he tends to get out-volumed. He's also never been taken down in 6 fights in the UFC. Bruno Silva, on the other hand, coming off of 2 absolute maulings. It was especially the one over JP Buys. We just beat him up for a round and change, however long that took. Lands big. He's able to get takedowns as well. To me, Tyson Nam is the cleaner striker. But Bruno I think he actually has the power advantage here, and he can mix in the grappling. Even though Nam has not been taken down, I think Bruno Silva's got another level of grappling and just a couple extra tools in his tool belt, really, versus Nam. Decent striker. Good striker, I think I said. He is a good striker. Just, he's going to have to watch out for the power of Silva, the grappling of Silva. These guys can end up staring at each other in the mirror for 15 minutes and we'll have to deal with the judges again. And in that case, I think Bruno will have the bigger, more impactful shots. So he's got more ways to win this fight, and that's why, for me, he will be the pick. When picking a method of victory, Bruno cracks, man. I can't pick him to go via decision. So therefore, official pick, Bruno Silva via knockout. I told you guys I'd get you out of here in just about 30 minutes. That is my style. I hope you enjoyed this breakdown. Again, like, comment, subscribe. It was fun being with you guys for the On the Moneyline podcast. Maybe I'll be back. Maybe I'll break down a fight card with Newsome. Maybe you guys will like the tag team type of show. Maybe Newsome would. I don't know. We're 5 hours apart. That's not always easy. So I digress. In the comments, though, I'm going to be checking the comments on this video for the rest of the week. Again, let me know what you guys think. Fights I missed, fights I didn't. Who's your most confident pick? All that type of good stuff. Make sure you're over at MMA Play 365 for the MMA Betting Hub, the DFS Hub. Tape Index if you want to break down some fights on your own. Check out everything we have over there. Newsome will be back next week. Newsome, if you're listening to this, thanks for letting me fill in for you. Those of you guys listening, thank you for listening. I will see you around. Good luck with whatever you're doing, bets, contests, etc. for UFC Las Vegas.